Sun Devil season opener tomorrow night in Tempe against NAU. And for the third straight year, it's our pleasure to have the head coach of Arizona State football, Kenny Dillingham, on for a weekly visit, the first of which is today. Coach Dillingham joins us right now on the Arizona Sports Line. Coach, good morning.
Kenny.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing well. I wanted to start with something that just came up, and you probably heard it when you were on hold on Sammy's update. The attendance announced as a sellout. First time in 27 years an Arizona State football home opener has been announced as a sellout. With all of the efforts that you have put into activating the Valley, building a brand, and all those efforts that you've had over the last 2+ years, what does that mean to you to have a sellout in this first game?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's what we envisioned, when I took this job, was this place sold out, this place being the talk of the town, this place being the place to be on Saturdays. And to sell it out for the first time in week one in 27 years, there's not one player on our team that was alive when that happened. And put that in context, that this is the first time in their life that this stadium will be sold out for a week one.
Kenny, you've talked about expectations. You've talked about ASU sort of defying their own history when it comes to duplicating really good seasons. What do you do you think the message is getting through with your players, and how important is it to kind of close the book on last year?
Yeah, we closed the book a long time ago. I mean, obviously everybody else keeps the book open. We try to keep closing it. And, I like to explain to people history, because I think there's a reason why history repeats itself, right? This is such a lifestyle city. There's so many things to do. There's so many distractions. So once people taste success here, it's so hard to keep your focus on what got you here, whether that's collegiate sports, professional sports. So I want them to understand that the Valley as a whole has struggled, having successful seasons back to back. And it's not just a football thing, it's an everything thing. And that's the challenge we face. And if we want to do something that's really not been done, well, you got to do something that nobody's ever done before. You have to work harder and stay more focused than any sports team has in the last 40 years.
Kenny Dillingham, the head coach of the Arizona State Sun Devils, our weekly guest here on Bickley Marotta Mornings. I was thinking this week, Kenny, about the subject of curiosity when it comes to opening a football season. And there's a lot of curiosity among fans, and there's a lot of curiosity among media members when it pertains to your team. Is there a level of curiosity from a coaching staff? Do you have any sort of feeling of like, hey, let's see what this team is made of? Or do you have a pretty good idea of what you're going to see?
I have a decent idea, better than I have in the last 2 years. I would say my curiosity, it's continuing. I continue to say it with our team, is, when some teams you can look at and they're going to be undeniable. Like, you can tell by how you look at them on game day that they're going to empty everything in the tank. I believe we have that, but until we see that look in their eye, that hunger in their eye on game day, that's my curiosity, is are we still going to be that team that everybody loves to watch, because just how hard we play and how much it matters. I think our guys have shown that we're going to do that through the work they've put in. But I'm excited to actually see that and to see what this identity of this team is going to be on Saturday.
Kenny, there was a great story in AZ Central that's focused on your family life and your wife Brianna, and there were a lot of great details in there. The fact that she bakes 200 cookies a week for the football team, the fact that you've got your entire extended family just right around you where you live, which kind of speaks to how do you tell recruits and their parents that I'm going to treat your son like family if you really show that in your own life. And then came the admission from you that you would be useless in the real world.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know how to survive. I'm not patient one. So when I go do things and people move slowly, I'm like, God, this should have taken 12 seconds. It's been 4 minutes. This is not that difficult, people. So I think there's a combination of things why I would probably struggle outside of an element of high intensity 24/7. And ironically, she just baked all those cookies. They're in the back of my car right now. I'm about to unload them to bring them upstairs for the team today.
That's fantastic.
Kenny Dillingham, our guest here on Bickley and Marotta Mornings. Obviously, there's lots of eyes on the running back position. Cam Scadaboo wearing the uniform of the New York Giants this year, and he was electrifying, and we talked to you pretty much every week about Cam's performance last season. But some really good players in that room. How do you see the early season playing time being distributed? Is it going to be even? Is it going to be situational, hot hand kind of feel? How are you viewing that going in, Kenny?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of what you just said. I think it's going to be situational. I think it's going to be hot hand. I think Sip and Ralik have really done an unbelievable job this camp. Kanye has had a really good camp. He's gotten better and better and better, transitioning from a triple option scheme to our scheme. There's a lot more protections that are involved and things like that. So there's a bigger learning curve there, but he's had a good camp as well. So when you look at it, I view it as it's going to be all three. I think there's going to be situations where we want Kanye, situations where we want Sip, situations where we want Ralik, and then if Sip is having a great game, feed the hot hand. If he's feeling it, same thing with Ralik. So I think it's kind of a combo of what you just described, and I think in my history, you know, me and Coach Iguano have both been blessed to be around good backs. Coach Iguano has been more the, you know, here's my one guy and let's roll with him. In my history, going back, you know, Oregon, Auburn, Memphis, we always had 2 to 3 guys that we rotated at a pretty high rate. So I think it's going to be way more of kind of my background and how we rotate as opposed to Coach Iguano's history here with all of his guys that have gotten drafted.
Yeah, there was so much attention on Sam Leavitt, and deservedly so. I've heard people wonder, how are you going to replace the heat that Cam Scadaboo brought to the football field? And I sense a lot of that smoke with Sam. How do you straddle the line between empowering him and maybe harnessing him so he doesn't feel like he has to do too much? What's the game plan to get the best out of Sam Leavitt this year?
I mean, it's a good question because, I mean, I think some people force leadership upon people, and they force them and they put pressure on them to lead to a point where they actually change to try to lead. And I think the best form of leadership is being who you are and showing that you actually care. Like, just leadership is action. And I think when you have a guy like Sam who prepares as good as anybody I've ever prepared or I've ever seen prepare, he cares as much as anybody I've ever seen care. And then he's a good player. He plays physical. He plays with passion. He plays with a broken rib, comes back in a game, right? And just be you. Your leadership is people watching you every single day. And I think through this offseason, he's kind of changed his leadership styles, trying to figure out his style. And I think in fall camp, he finally settled in on, I'm just going to be me. This is the best leadership, is me being me. And I think the team has really rallied behind him since he settled into just being him and, you know, putting everything on the line like he does every single week.
Kenny Dillingham, head coach of ASU, our guest here on Bickley and Marotta Mornings. The week 1 opponent, NAU, they're coming off a good season. They're ranked in the FCS. They made it to the playoffs at their level last year. So they're coming in here looking to accomplish a goal. And their head coach, Brian Wright, he just coaches teams that win a lot of football games. What does this NAU team do well that could challenge your team in week 1, Kenny?
Yeah, they create pre-snap chaos. On offense, they line up in a ton of unbalance, ton of motioning to unbalance. They play the game of who's on, who's off the ball, which you can play in college football, not in the NFL, with some eligibility rules. So they really challenge your pre-snap communication on offense. And then defense, they do the same thing. You know, they line up in as many fronts as I've ever seen a team line up, especially going into week 1. And they challenge you to all get on the same page in terms of who you're blocking. And then the second thing they do really well is they play to win. They do not play scared. They'll play cover 0 and blitz the house on 2nd and 10 in the first quarter on the -30. Like, they play to win the game from a perspective of they're not scared at all. They play aggressively. And I think those are the two things when you're looking at a week 1 opponent, you look at how he turned that program into a top 25 program. It's he forced teams to communicate, got his guys on the same page, and then he coached an aggressive mindset that we're not going to sit back, but we're going to be the attackers on offense and defense and special teams. And you can really see the team buy into that. So that's the challenge I put in front of our guys is we've got to be great pre-snap communication, and then we have to attack when they attack. You know, the best way to attack somebody who attacks is to try to knock them out, right? You can't keep jabbing somebody that's eventually going to try to knock you out. So you got to eventually, you know, fight back.
Well, Kenny, thanks so much for
Thank
the
you,
time. We're thrilled that you're on weekly with us
Yes.
again all season long, and best of luck tomorrow night. We'll talk to you next week.
I appreciate it. Go Devils.
Thanks.
Thank you, Kenny.
Kenny Dillingham, the head coach of the Arizona State Sun Devils, again joining us weekly here on Bickley and Marotta
Can't
mornings.
wait.
Yes, first full weekend of college football in the swing. Got a great lineup of games all weekend long. Here to talk college football with us is college football analyst and host of the C-Ball Get Ball podcast, David Pollock, our guest via video link. David, good morning. Happy college season to you.
You ain't lying. It's like Christmas. It's like opening presents, man. And the games are so good. It's like a playoff. That's what's really cool about this week compared to a lot of weeks. So we get to kick off the season with a bunch of top 10 matchups and a lot of excitement.
Yeah, we just went through, David, our projections on what we see the college football playoff bracket looking like in December when it rolls around. And I'll admit, I'll speak to it. I'm a homer. I went to ASU. I'm really bullish on the Sun Devils, but everybody else on the show has them in the field too. What are your thoughts on Kenny Dillingham's program in what looks to be a very winnable Big 12 again?
Yeah, I think he's a stud. Kenny Dillingham's a stud. And I remember meeting him at Oregon at game day, and I was just like, that dude's different. Like he's got some energy to him. And so I just remember spending some time with him, and then you listen to his philosophy, and continues to grow. Obviously, he's still a very young coach, but I loved all the clips coming out of camp. Like, absolutely loved it. Like, just taking shots at his team and holding him accountable. And you got to do that, man. You got to connect with him. You got to love on him, and you got to hate on him, right? Like, those are the necessary components to be a good coach. I have them going to the playoffs too. Listen, I have some question marks, just like all y'all do, that we can get into. But you got Leavitt, you got Dillingham. You got so many returning guys that have experience. You got Tyson as a known commodity that you can move around and have some fun with. So I think this team is definitely a team that's going to be – I think they're going to be in the playoffs. I think they're going to be in a fun Big 12 and maybe become that team in the Big 12 where people start believing like there is a national championship type contender.
Yeah, David, for years we've wondered, ASU has so many recruiting advantages that other schools don't. What is holding this program back? And now Kenny wants this team to be one of those perennial powers. You played at one in Georgia. How difficult is it to get into that grouping of the elite in college football?
Dude, it's almost impossible, right? Like you watch it year in and year out, and you'll see blips and you'll see, moments of greatness, but you don't see sustainability except for at a handful of programs year in and year out. So it's not easy, man. It's a very difficult thing to do. I do think the world of college football now is different. And everybody who wants to complain about NIL, I'm here for it. You can complain all you want, but it's also the reason we have competitive balance now. It's also the reason not everybody's going to the same rosters to go develop and look long-term. Now they're like, I can go get paid and develop my skills. So the game is so spread out. The competition is better than ever. So many people that are fighting for spots. So I think we felt the same way, though, like visiting all the campuses and stuff. When you go there, you're like, oh, this is awesome. Like, obviously the weather and then the fans and then obviously everything that can go into it. So I saw you got to sell out, right, to start too. So you got the momentum and everything going in the right direction. David
Pollock, C-Ball Get Ball podcast host, our guest here on Bickley and Marotta mornings. You mentioned the landscape of the Big 12, and we've been talking about it too, even last year. Deep conference, not a real top-heavy powerhouse program established yet. But who are the programs? I mean, we saw Kansas State and Iowa State. They look both pretty good at this point. Who are some of the programs you think could challenge? And do you think the Big 12 could be a two team conference when it comes to putting teams in the college football playoff?
It's the most fun conference to watch year in and year out. And listen, I'm not saying this because I'm on your show. If you listen to my show, you're going to hear this. Like I think almost 50% of the games last year were decided by 7 points or less. I mean, it's just the games are always great. They always deliver. So the football's so good. It's exciting. I think Utah is a big bounce back team this year. I think they could double their wins from a year ago. And Kyle Whittingham's proved he's laid a foundation that no one can question. And he's only had 2 losing seasons in the 3,000 years he's been there. So I expect it to bounce back in a big way. Their offensive line, and then the name you keep hearing and you will hear when you watch Utah is Devin Dampier. Yeah. Like, dude, he's a running back playing quarterback with that offensive line, tailor the system, maximize the receivers that you have, but it's not a lot of obviously explosive players on the outside. But I think Utah has a big bounce back. I can't wait to watch Baylor. Like, I can't wait to watch Baylor Auburn tonight. Like, that's going to be one of the better games that I've been looking forward to all summer, because I think both of these teams could be playoff type contenders. Like, they really could. And I loved watching Sawyer Robertson down the stretch. Baylor got hot. Aranda saved his job. I'm interested to see the defense and to see if that's what he's been known for throughout his career, is great defense. And they were ungood last year. Okay. That's the nicest way I can put that. Okay. They were very ungood. And so can he flip some of that around, and then they run the football with Washington and company, and because I think they have a good chance to be a really good football team as well. Obviously Texas Tech, resources, starting to come around in this league. TCU, they've got a quarterback. They can create some explosive plays playing, North Carolina week 1 will be fun to watch. But I think we don't even talk about BYU. I mean, you talked about Kansas State and Iowa State. Like, that's why it's so much fun, man. So many leagues in the Big Ten and in the SEC, the Big Ten mostly, and the ACC. A lot of those teams, that they can bring their C game, the best teams in the league, and they're still going to win.
Yeah,
it's not the case in the Big 12, man. You got more parity and more teams that can hurt you.
Last year, 3 unranked teams ended up in the college football playoff: Boise State, ASU, obviously, and Indiana. Are there any sleepers out there that you like that might crash the party this year?
Well, mine's not as much not unranked. I don't know where A&M's ranked. I'm not a poll guy. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie to you. But the polls, especially early in the season, they don't mean as much to me. But I think A&M's got a real chance to be good. And I don't know if y'all saw Le'Veon Moss's comments the other day, but it reaffirmed my love for him. And it reaffirmed my love for the Aggies, because here's the thing, man. They played a bunch of different offensive linemen a year ago because of injury. They're all enormous, big physical monsters. They got one of the best wide receivers in the portal in KC Concepcion. That is a perfect fit for that offense. Like, you're going to see him on jet sweeps and now routes, all the quick game stuff that will be perfect for Marcel Reed. But Moss said in his comments the other day, they said, "Are you going to run out of bounds? You had a knee injury a year ago." He goes, without hesitating, "I'm a man." That's what he said. Like, I'm a man. Like, are you really questioning? No, I'm not running out of bounds. Are you serious? Big 220-pound running back that runs downhill and physical. I think A&M, I know their schedule's tough, but I think they can be a physical team that week in and week out make you earn it, and a team that could sneak into the playoffs.
You mentioned the capper of the weekend, Monday, TCU and North Carolina. You mentioned it from the TCU standpoint. How interesting is this whole North Carolina, experiment, if you will, with Bill Belichick going to be? What do you expect from the Tar Heels this year?
It's super interesting. And if you wanted to do yourself a favor and have a good laugh, the reason it's even more interesting is go look at their schedule. There ain't much on North Carolina's schedule, man. They play 4 of the bottom 5 teams in the ACC. Like, this is going to be one of their better, more competitive games. Yes, they play Clemson. You can chalk that up for a loss, but like, they don't play the Miamis and the Louisvilles. Like, they're dodging everyone that's in that division. That's going to be, kind of a good challenge for them. So it's going to be interesting. I think they turn it around. I think defensively, like, listen, Bill has always been one of the best minds, and he finds a way to make you play left-handed, and he finds a way to make you earn it. Offensively, if I look at their receivers and their skill, I'm not sure who can hurt you. Like, that's the problem. That's the only thing I see with them is offensively. Like, they obviously have they went and got Gio Lopez in the transfer portal, and he's a great fit for Belichick, I think, because he doesn't turn it over, doesn't make those mistakes, really good athlete. So can this offense be revolved around him and his legs and where they're good enough? But I know they'll be good on defense, and I know with that schedule, they're going to be a team that won 5 games a year ago, and you can plus on, 3 or 4 more just because of the schedule.
David, it was a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining the show. Appreciate the insight, man.
Yeah, great stuff, man. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for having me on, guys. Good luck to you guys this year.
Thank you, David Pollock. See Ball, Get Ball, the podcast on the Believe Network, wherever you get your podcast. And they'll be doing live episodes after the games on Saturday nights.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.